Take me back to the place I know, with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already packed, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started, my heart's in Gravity Falls.
Welcome to Mystery Shack Look Back, a nostalgic time capsule and no-spoiler book club of the original Gravity Falls fandom. We are your curators. I'm Charlie.
I'm Ella.
This is a podcast, ideally. We're hoping.
Whoa.
I don't think anything is a podcast a couple seconds in.
Well,
but our goal is for one day for this to become a podcast. Right now, I would say it's a pod.
It's simultaneously not a podcast and a podcast, and you won't find out until
you open the box.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Gravity Falls is 9 years old.
That's true. The cartoon show Gravity Falls.
I guess we should say Gravity Falls is a 2012 Disney Channel, later Disney XD television show created by Alex Hirsch. It is animated. The way I see it, there are three groups of people in this world. Those who have never watched Gravity Falls, those who watched Gravity Falls when it was first airing, and those who have since watched Gravity Falls.
Right.
And I think we have the capacity to make a podcast that can appeal to all three groups.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, what I believe is the experience of watching Gravity Falls when it was first airing was nothing like anything I had experienced in my life.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was like anything that had come before, and I don't think anything like it will happen again.
The closest thing to it, Alex Hirsch, the creator of the show, constantly says is "Who Shot Mr. Burns?" the two-parter episode of The Simpsons.
Right. That was the season. It was first part's the season 6 finale. Second part is
the season 7 premiere.
Yeah. So in that time,
in that summer,
yes,
yeah,
you have this big mystery.
I think a huge part of why Gravity Falls works, even though we hated it at the time, why it worked for us was there were these terrible hiatuses. Disney would not really be clear on when episodes were going to stop airing and when there would be new episodes coming out.
Yeah, the scheduling was...
We're going to try to go into the backstory more so you can understand not just what it is, but where it came from. Because the show is synonymous with its creator, basically. Every character is based off of someone he knew.
And that was what Disney wanted at the time, and still now is very creator-driven shows. And I think this was a great example of that.
When the show first came out, there were some articles saying we want creator-driven programming. But anyway, I want this show to be no spoilers. I want us to deal with information as it is dealt to us. And I want to talk about the fan theories that were popular at the time, because there was a community built off of trying to endure these random hiatuses.
Right. So part of it is kind of going to be this documentary style, historic documentation of what this fandom community was like.
In a way, maybe we weren't having fun. Maybe the people who watch it in 2 days on Disney Plus have a great time, and we were not friends, we were trench mates.
But you can't replicate that experience, which is why we're trying to
replicate that experience, because we believe
talk about it and document it. Yes.
If we deliver a no-spoiler podcast that talks about the popular fan theories as they came about in release order, that talks about expanded universe material during the hiatuses, and if we release weekly, that means we will have the same hiatuses, because that's when the expanded universe material came out.
Like, hopefully we can, through that, communicate that the hiatuses are basically responsible for the community,
Absolutely.
Like a cup of yogurt, left out. The culture just developed over time.
Yeah. Definitely, it was the process of us rotting together. So I believe for the people who watched the show when it was first airing, this podcast can be a time capsule. For the people that have never seen this show, this podcast can be a book club. And for the people that have watched the show on Disney Plus, this can be, oh, I didn't know there was that much going on. I didn't know the secrets were revealed on games on the website during the hiatuses because I just watched the episodes in order. I didn't know there was a 3DS game.
As the fandom lost their minds, that kind of thing.
Yeah, hiatus brain was a term we used to throw around.
Yes.
But I really think the main group that this podcast is going to appeal to is people who have been trying to get their friends to watch Gravity Falls.
Mm-hmm.
If you love Gravity Falls and you have a friend that you really want to check it out and they're being hesitant, we got you.
Because it can be for both of you simultaneously, this show.
If you guys can help, we are going to set up an email. What was the email?
mysteryshacklookback@gmail.com.
What we really want to see is if you have posts from when the show was airing on your Tumblr or Twitter or Reddit, and you think it represents where your mind and where the mind of the community was at the time.
Basically, contribute to our time capsule, is what we're saying.
If you have posts of fan theories evolving, we want to see that, we want to reference it. So where this starts is Alex Hirsch attended Cal Arts,
California Institute of the Arts. That's a school where I think the animation school at the college was partly founded by Walt Disney, and it has a lot of ties to Disney as a company, but also just like the animation industry in general.
Companies that are looking to hire animators will look at the student films for reference. That is kind of their well of talent to go to. Disney saw Alex's student films and asked him to pitch a show. So I think where this really needs to start is with the student film that I think is closest to what Gravity Falls became and is on his YouTube. It's called Off the Wall Episode 1, Lady Troubles. There is no Episode 2. It was uploaded to the Alex Meister on April 28th, 2007. You can probably find a link to that down below wherever you're listening to this if you want to pause here and watch it. But Ella and I are going to watch it now and then discuss our thoughts.
Hi, my name is Nick. I go to Art College University and have lots of friends. But there's one friend I'd like you to meet.
Hey, I could get a girlfriend by the end of the day.
Oh, now you're on.
Are you a bookworm?
I mean, no, I mostly listen to books on tape. So I guess you could say I'm like a tape worm.
Isn't that a...
Intestinal, it's an intestinal thing.
I'm a lesbian.
You see, women are like individually packed cups of pudding.
I think women are just like this crazy mystery, and I'm not ready for them right now.
So we just watched Off the Wall Episode 1.
Lady Troubles.
It is an animation live-action hybrid, primarily live action. There is a little animated character voiced by Alex Hirsch, who is the best friend of an animator who has drawn a friend onto the wall.
He goes to Art College University.
His name's Walby. There's some fun Roger Rabbit-esque tricks in the theme song.
Yeah, there's stuff that I had missed the first few times where I was like, that's pretty cool.
He successfully takes a bite out of a churro.
churro.
When he sneaks a bite out of it, part of it actually goes away without like the hand jerking.
And what was the other thing?
He's running on toilet paper like a treadmill, and it's actually pulling off. It's weird because it's like he's studied animation and then he does this student film that has like a very small portion of animation in it.
I think the idea with senior films especially is like emphasize to the industry what you're best at, and I guess he was going for, you know, his comedy or his sense of humor rather than his animation. Because
Gravity Falls wound up being a script-driven show, but he was able to talk on the storyboarders level more than most.
Right, that's why it's important for anyone on an animation team to at least have some working knowledge of how animation works, because you can't write or direct for people who are going to do a thing that you don't know how to do.
You just did your senior film.
I did, and you can watch it right now if you want to look it up. It's called Slam Poet, and it's a cartoon that I made at school.
Ella is an animation student, and I am a YouTube voice actor, which I actually genuinely think are the two avenues that Gravity Falls came from.
Yeah, that's true. When you trace it all back, which we are going to do.
We're going to try. Do you have anything to say about this episode? About this episode?
The premise of this episode of Off the Wall is that Walby has a bet with his friend Nick.
Yeah, Walby has a bet with his friend Nick that Walby can find a girlfriend by the end of the day.
Right. So it's just a big montage of Walby trying and failing to get a date. And the best example.
The best example is Walby casually. The animation's fantastic. The delivery's fantastic. The joke itself is really good. Casually walks up whistling to a woman who is just minding her own business, chilling, without even like making eye contact with him, without even like changing her facial expression, just goes, "I'm a lesbian." And there's this very well animated.
He turns around very deliberately and slowly, and it's like, yeah.
Whistles and walks the other way. At some point, he seeks some sage advice from the janitor, who is played by Alex's friend, Jesus Stambro. The janitor in this is just named Jesus. So, Jesus was weirdly old for a student, and no one was, like, comfortable asking how old he was.
Yeah, they knew that, like, he either currently attended CalArts or attended CalArts at some point and now worked there, or...
Yeah, Alex, like, legitimately didn't know when he met him if he was a teacher or a student. So here, that's why he is someone who is on the staff of the college.
But he was always really supportive, and...
Yes, he offers the advice that women are like individually packaged cups of pudding.
Right.
They're soft when you break through their exterior.
Mm-hmm.
Which is such a... And he pulls a piece of pudding out of the trash and starts eating it. And Walby is impressed by how wise and intelligent he is, rather than being grossed out by a janitor eating garbage in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. I can see why people at Disney would look at this and his other work from the time and be interested in his potential, like, comedically and
absolutely
creatively, because, like, obviously not everyone is going to go for this, like, hybrid style. And that was it makes him stand out. And I think it does what it needs to do for him at the time. At
the end here, we see it says additional animation by Ian Worrell and Adrian Molina, and creative consultation by Adrian Molina as well.
Oh yeah, and Joe Pitt is in there too.
Joe Pitt, yes, which I think is his roommate. Adrian Molina, I want to talk about for a second though. Something he did with his friend Adrian Molina for fun.
Oh yeah, a fun game that they would play, like, for recreation.
Is they challenged each other to come up with 5 TV show pitches every day. And whoever gives up, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of... They had homework at the time that they were doing this.
Right, on top of writing 5 premises for 5 different TV shows as a game for fun.
So whoever wasn't able to write 5 premises in a day the first time would have to write an entire 40-page pilot to the premise of the other person's choosing.
Right. Basically, the punishment is to script an entire episode.
They had to call a truce because they were just so tired. So on the 7th day, the 5th pitch that Alex Hirsch presented on the 7th day was titled Gravity Falls! Premise: Greg Cobalt has 1 year left to graduate college when his girlfriend leaves him, and he has something of a nervous breakdown. Deciding that he's sick of his life and everyone he knows, he packs up his van and his magic 8-ball and drives north to Gravity Falls, a place he knows nothing about but has often seen mystery spot-styled bumper stickers for. As it turns out, Gravity Falls is a weird, mysterious town where strange things happen with startling regularity. Like this talking owl, for example. And a secret society of sturgeon-worshipping old men who follow Greg around. And there's this wacky chick who works at the gift store and can lift very, very small things with her mind. And there's an old policeman who knows about the town's secrets. Maybe Greg has a magic typewriter that allows him to write beautiful poems, which are actually cursed. How about some gnomes? There's also gnomes!
Gosh, Gravity Falls is nuts! I love it!
Response, Adrian in the Google Doc, and Alex says, really? You love it?
Yes, I'm sold, Alex. You sold me. Gravity Falls is gonna be the next hit sitcom on Fox.
Oh my god. I can't believe it. I'm gonna call my mom. Mom? This is Alex. No, they didn't have trash bags at Target. I know, right? Oh, guess what? I got my own hit show on Fox! Muffled sounds of mom overjoyed on the other side of phone.
So that was the initial,
joke pitch, but when Disney Channel asked him to pitch a show based on his student films, he remembered that he kind of adapted it to be about his life instead of going to Gravity Falls because he chose to. Now the characters are going to Gravity Falls because they have to because they're kids. And he based that on from ages 9 to 13, he would have to stay in a cabin in the Pacific Northwest with his great aunt Lois, who made him call her Grunty Lois.
and he would stay there with his twin sister Ariel Hirsch all these summers that they would spend in like this hot, boring log cabin.
They would tell each other stories because they were often very, very bored. They would, pick up a piece of rock and tape it in a journal and write, "We found this piece of an alien exoskeleton." And there were so many things taped in these journals that they would keep that they were like the size of them.
The idea for Gravity Falls basically came from what he and Ariel wished those summers were actually like.
Disney, what they liked about the premise was that there was a sibling relationship, which they were more interested in the relationship dynamic. That's what will guide a series more so than a good premise.
Which is smart. I mean, yeah, they know what they're talking about.
So he needed someone to voice him and his twin sister Ariel when they were 9 to 13. And instantly what popped into his mind is the television program Flight of the Conchords and the character Mel, the band's harmless stalker.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, Mel.
Hey, whoa. It's crazy meeting you here, huh?
What, outside our house?
Yeah, Brett. You are so funny. I love your sense of humor.
What are you doing down Mr. Lee's stairwell?
Jogging.
You saw Flight of the Conchords. Did you see any of yourself in Mel? Sure. No one wants to think of themselves as a boy-crazy stalker, but we've all had our moments.
Played by comedian Kristen Schaal. She was instrumental to his vision of the show. He as at one point stated that he didn't know if he'd have motivation to make the show if she wasn't available.
Yeah.
And she was. So the character's called Mabel, who I think is named after Mel.
Yeah,
He's never
that would make
stated it,
sense.
but...
And a lot of her
And
traits
then-
are just lifted directly from Ariel Hirsch.
Yes.
Her love of cute pigs and her sweater obsession. She had like this...
Troll doll sweater. Jason Ritter, the son of the actor from Three's Company, shared an agent with Kristen Schaal, who informed him that there were auditions going on for this cartoon. Dipper didn't really have a personality when he was first pitching it, but he definitely knew he wanted someone who sounded prepubescent. Jason's audition process, they felt there was something very natural about his squeak, whereas a lot of other people were doing, kind of that thing, like the squeaky voice teen from Simpsons or whatever.
How old were you? I was 12. Perfect. We were playing football, and the older sister wanted mine. I went, here's my chance to really impress her. And you have the thing where you yell blitz right before you can charge. Anyway, the point is that I wanted to really yell blitz loud. The louder you yell blitz, the more a girl falls in love with you. That's a scientific fact. That's a fact. And the more manly one. And so I went for it. I went blitz. I heard that in him in the audition. I was like, there's something real here.
Yeah, and that's the thing that stands out to me about like the way Alex writes in general is that it's very naturalistic, because Not to go back to Off the Wall just for a second, there was a thing where there's a joke where he's trying to get a date with a girl reading a book. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a bit of a bookworm. Are you a bookworm?" No, I usually listen to books on tape, so I guess I'm a tape worm. She's like, "Isn't that a intestinal? Yeah, that's an intestinal thing." And it's that like super conversational style of dialogue that is what stood out to me about Gravity Falls, and what stands out about Jason's performance and everything like that.
I was amazed when I found out that outside of one episode, they never recorded in the same booth, because it really feels like these two characters are talking to each other. So there was definitely a mind for that.
And also that Alex would rewrite a lot of their dialogue personally, right?
Yes. It had to be clear that they liked each other, and that Dipper was not the smart one. Mabel was exactly as smart as
Dipper.
I think part of it is definitely Alex's direction, because it's definitely his comedic timing that you could hear in Off the Wall. However, he also had never directed a voice actor before.
Yeah.
So at some point, Kristen Schaal got him in touch with Ginny McSwain, who is a animation veteran who did the casting for Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, and she assisted Alex with the voice direction on the show.
Because of all that, it feels so different from like typical sibling relationships in cartoons or TV in a really refreshing way.
I have two older sisters. You're an only child, I know, but there are a lot of people who watch Gravity Falls and like it because it reminds them of their childhood with their siblings. He put together a pitch pilot for the show just to show Disney. Originally storyboarded on Post-it notes, and he put them all on a board in front of Disney executives and did all of the voices and the sound effects himself live while they tried to squint their eyes and look at Post-it notes. But then, with some of his own resources and one or two animators, put together a very cheap version of the pilot. And we are going to look over that now. You're just going to have to trust us on things. He has asked that no one share this, so we're not going to put a link to it up or anything.
Gravity Falls is not what you'd call a sleepy town. Though like any other town, all the people rest at the moon's request when the sun goes down. But that is when the mayhem awakens and madness crawls out of nowhere. We go where adventure calls while the people are sleeping behind safe walls. We're explorers of forests and haunted halls, empty graves and old caves and abandoned malls. I mean, there's nothing else to do here in Gravity Falls.
The song you just heard was the theme song in the pilot. That was written and recorded by Neil Cicierega, also known as Trapezoid, Deporitaz, or most famously, Lemon Demon.
Correct.
Where would you even go about beginning to describe?
Well, I was going to say 6 degrees, but probably fewer, of separation from anything on the internet and Neil Cicierega.
Probably Alex knows him from Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny, because Alex really liked Flash animation. But the rest of you probably either know him from Potter Puppet Pals or Ariel Needs Legs. Ella and I have recently gotten very obsessed with his series of videos, Guide 2, in which he does a weird voice and tries to gatekeep a fandom, but gets all of the info wrong.
Good morning, I'm Treco1601. This is for the newbies out there. Legging is realized.
They're taking the homeboys to laser tag.
Reasons such as Attagirl Abner.
It's a trick.
I figure the only way to cover who Neil Cicierega is WWLDD. What would Lemon Demon do?
Good morning. Justice for Flash Player 2 here. This is for the newbies out there, a guide to Neil Cicierega. Neil's cease and desist got his start as a little boy whose parents kept him in a house full of computers. He's behind several of the memes out there, most of which you might already know, and go, he did that? After finding success with pictures moving around, which he called anime news stations, he released several albums under the name Lentil Dentist. You might know his song, Ultra Cool Snow Cone of Ultra Density, because it was featured on Flash animation website, Nutrigrains.com.
Gary Oldman was walking around.
Ned Simpson's guy then stepped away from the internet to a box where he moved real-life pictures around. He called them puppets. The most famous episode of Puppets is Mysterious Bad Sound.
Sound. Mysterious bad sound.
Knockoff silly name then decided to return to his roots and found a picture of a man and moved him all over the place in a little thing he called Bahiquast. One day the picture stopped moving. Luckily, this new still image would be known as Mermaid Needs Pants.
It's 2 pants, right?
And these are just some of the hilarious japeries Niles' silly goose is guilty of. It is now your homework to go home and listen to his entire discography, newbies.
Amazing. That's so good.
So Sim helped me make that. Sim and the Dimbulb v2-0.tumblr.com. Helped write that, made all the music. Happy birthday.
Thank you. That was a treat.
All right. I guess that about covers the pilot's theme song. Unless there's anything else you want to bring up.
Okay, well, there is so on Lemon Demon's 7th album, Spirit Phone, there is a bonus track titled Moon's Request, which is, not only is that a direct quote from the unused intro for Gravity Falls, but the whole song is a remix of that intro. It's a good song.
You sent me that while we were researching this, and we were like, what is this? Why did he do this?
And then there are comments on the video of the unused Gravity Falls theme song where it's like, why is this so familiar? Like, what where have I heard Moon's Request before?
So the Gravity Falls unaired pilot also gives us the first appearance of the character, Stan Pines. So rather than basing the character off of Grunty Lois, they instead created a gender-swapped Grunty, a Grunkle.
Kind of an amalgam of her and
his actual grandfather, Stan, who he never knew very well, but the one distinct memory he has...
When I was a kid, he tried to trick me into thinking that a hotel spoon from the hotel he was staying at was legendary Hirsch family silver. He was just like, "Oh, little Alex, come to my knee. Behold, passed down from great Ezekiel Hirsch onto you. Don't give it to anybody. Hey, hatcha, all right. You're all right. Get out of here." And then my mom was just like, "Look at the handle. It just says the Royal Inn. It's just, he took it from the, don't believe anything Grandpa Stan says."
And there's a piece of concept art that demonstrates just that. With
a tiny Alex who looks just like his grown-up self. The function of Stan in this pilot, the reason he decided to base a character off of his grandpa and never draw him with pants on the entire time, is that he actually really didn't want to do a kids show and wanted to kind of make Disney say, "Wow, this is a little too weird." So he could move on with his career for things he thought were best suited for him.
Right, because Grunkle Stan in his casual outfit never wears pants.
Yeah, just has his underwear on. There's a lot of influence from Flash cartoons here, with the inclusion of Lemon Demon in the beginning, and at the end, the main villain is played by Justin Roiland from Channel 101.
My queen! The time has come to fulfill your destiny! Step back, man! You're old!
And of course now everyone listening will recognize Justin Roiland as the co-creator of Rick and Morty, voice of Rick and Morty, creator of Solar Opposites now. But this is how he started.
Dan Harmon, who co-created Rick and Morty and created Community, had a film festival sort of thing called Channel 101, and Justin Roiland would submit gross out humor sort of stuff to it.
Yeah.
Doc and Marty definitely is just trying to make people upset.
Well, Doc and Marty comes from House of Cosby's, which got him a cease and desist.
The thing is, House of Cosby's has an actual like story to it, and there's very little gross out humor in it, and there's like a developing story. Weirdly, House of Cosby's feels way more like Rick and Morty than Doc and Marty does.
Oh yeah, but I think what appealed to him about House of Cosby's, there was a novelty to him in that he received a cease and desist for making that, and so he made something with the express purpose of getting another cease and desist, and he didn't. But it was another example of his kind of style, I guess.
Yeah, and I remember in that day of the internet, I remember discovering House of Cosby. So like his Flash animations were out there, certainly in the same way that Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny was.
Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of the I guess it's kind of photo bashing, but it's kind of like just a lot of use of like other real life photos and textures in this, which might be partly
it was definitely a time-saving thing, but it has this unique look to it.
And that's also in Fishhooks, which he worked on at Disney.
He helped develop Fishhooks so they could train him how to show run.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting stylistic thing that we obviously don't get in the show.
Plot thread here is mainly about how there is a popsicle riddle that is missing the answer. And there is a disagreement over what the answer will be.
That's the emotional arc, is that Dipper and Mabel can't agree on what the answer to the pun riddle is.
Dipper learns to trust Mabel when the pun riddle winds up being necessary, when the ancient being, voiced by Justin Roiland, demands the answer to the riddle for Mabel's freedom.
Decent bit of Grunkle Stan establishment here too. He also has a lot of traits that are, like we were saying, taken from Grandpa Stan being a very Borscht Belt con man.
Yes, he had held auditions for Stan before this. None of them went well. They either went too old or too evil. He had asked Bob Odenkirk to audition, and he said no.
Right, but that's the balance that he was trying to go for. Like, old, yes, conniving occasionally, mostly just kind of sleazy.
Cheesy.
And
cheesy and sleazy.
Yeah.
Cheesy.
Cheese and sleaze are the ingredients of a Grunkle Stan.
He did it here as a temp track, intending, if this got picked up for a series, to cast a real actor. He does, other than Dipper and Mabel and Neil Cicierega and Justin Roiland, who he is a big fan of, all of the voices are him in this.
Mm-hmm.
But he does wind up voicing Stan in the full series, in spite of thinking this would be a temporary thing for the pilot.
Right.
He showed the pilot to a bunch of people, most of which were like, "Oh, that's so amazing. You did such a good job." A bunch of his friends and family and everything. He was Disney said, "We're probably going to pick up your show. Start hiring people." He asked a friend who had just come from CalArts, "Who's the funniest kid at CalArts right now?" And they said, "It's this guy, Mike Rianda." Alex watched his student films. They were hilarious. And he wrote this long, passionate, obsessive letter to Mike Rianda begging him to come on this show and not on the other show.
Yes. And you will recognize Mike Rianda, recent director of Mitchells vs. the Machines on Netflix.
Yes, but he was either still in college or fresh out of college. It's not super clear.
Yeah, and even Alex was still super young, so.
Yeah, Alex was younger than I am now. I think he was 25 or 26 at this point.
Put yourself in the position of Alex at this point, mega corporation media empire is like, "Hey, we're gonna have you make a show for us pretty soon, so get ready."
So he hires Joe Pitt and he hires Ian Worrell, his friends from college. He puts up a sign that says, "Making cool stuff with friends." And he hires Mike Rianda after finally getting a meeting with him, showing him the pilot, saying, "What did you think?" And Mike Rianda was incredibly critical of it. But the thing was, the problems he pointed out were the problems that Alex saw and no one else pointed out to him. And he
Right.
said, you know, I need someone who can kick me in the butt like this and tell me when I'm not doing things correctly. Everyone he personally had hired on this show, other than the voice actors, everyone he had hired to sit in the Disney offices and brainstorm was not yet 26. They were not at the age where your brain was fully developed.
Right, and I think Disney recognized that, kind of swooped in.
And hired, asked Rob Renzetti, the creator of My Life as a Teenage Robot, to leave his role on the crew of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and come on as supervising producer, which from all of the behind the scenes information seems to mean babysitter.
It absolutely means babysitter, yes.
Alex said
Rob and Mike were sort of the best sort of angel and devil on your shoulder you could hope for, in terms of Rob always saying, like, let's try to actually stick to the schedule and get it done, and Mike saying, let's make 1 million more episodes! Let's make it crazy! Let's rewrite the whole thing tonight! Like, between the two of them, I would sort of find, like, okay, you got the id, you got the super ego, I'm going to try to balance between these two.
Right, yes. Rob would bring the producer brain that remembers that there are deadlines and
that's not to say Rob was a spoil sport, or Rob is one of the funniest and most entertaining people on the staff. He's able to have this perfect balance of creative and professional. And then Mike Orianda and Alex Hirsch usually didn't sleep while working on the show.
Yeah, and a lot, like, Mike Randa recently at the time of this recording, did a Twitter AMA talking about, you know, behind the scenes Gravity Falls stuff, and a lot of, at least talking about season 1 behind the scenes was, yeah, we did this and this and this. I don't recommend that. Never do that. Get some sleep. Get a lot of sleep.
When Alex asked him to return for season 2, as creative director was his official title, Mike Randa said, no, I almost died.
And yeah, I would understand that.
But it is the three of them, effectively, that now get to work at shaping this world.
Yeah, we've got this trifecta of a person bringing his personal story to the table, a person bringing his artistic eye, and a person bringing his producer eye.
And, I mean, that brings us to the series, basically.
Yeah, sets the stage for what is to come.
What is to come? You're gonna have to find out. You're gonna have to find out next week. I'm sorry. If you need a place to place your hiatus brain until we release an episode on it, episode 1, Tourist Trapped, we are probably going to set up a Discord server for the podcast.
Yeah.
I would like to thank Brian for making the instrumental for the theme song, and Sim and the Dimbulb v2-0.tumblr.com for helping me make Guide to Neil Cicierega.
Yes, that was amazing and a complete surprise, and I love it so much.
If you want to find more episodes of this podcast, go to our host network, pipedreampodcasts.com, where you can find other shows like Escape from Vault Disney, How Did This Not Get Made, and Come On Fahuquapods.
While you're there, you can find links to our show's social medias and Discord server. You can also contact us at mysteryshacklookback@gmail.com.
Do you want to give us a little sign off?
Yeah, a little sign off and a little plugsy. I'm Ella. You can find my work at DrawnWithoutRef on Twitter and Instagram. I'm an animator and story artist, and I'm just getting out of art school, and I'm getting into the industry, baby. And yeah, that's my stuff. What about your stuff?
I'm on YouTube as Charlie Marlowe, non-binary voice actor. YouTube.com/C/Charlie Marlowe with an EY and a WE. CHARLEY MARLOWE, even 7 letters. And I am on Twitch as Captain Goatbeard, CAPN, Goatbeard. I don't know. You called yourself an animator. I would love to have a singular word like that to call myself.
Well, we contain multitudes.
I am Mabel. I have made wax sculptures and stage shows, and
right.
I try to get as many baskets as I can and start throwing my eggs in them.
Throwing eggs at the basket to see what sticks.
Yeah, throwing eggs at the basket to see what pasta. I primarily have identified myself as a voice actor, but I love writing scripts and I love voice directing. And Ella and I have been making Gravity Falls fan content for as long as that was a thing. We've been doing it together since 2014, which is 7 years.
Too long ago.
If you enjoy this show, let us know. Send us a review or
and let the algorithms that be know too. Rate or like or post or I don't know, whatever you're doing in the future.
And I guess I will end us off with a single frame of a pterodactyl.
I guess so. Just imagine it in your mind.
No, I did the voice for them there. I'm a voice actor. I can make them imagine things with their mind with my mouth.
Okay. Take me back to the place I know with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already packed, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started. My heart's in Gravity Falls.
Knockoff Silly Name then decided to return to his roots and found a picture of a man and moved him all over the place in a little thing he called... in a little thing he called... Bahiquest. And a little thing he called... Bahiquest. In a little thing he called... Knockoff Silly...